The NBA bubble has officially begun, and man, has it been exciting. We've seen some really surprising performances so far, so that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So if you guys like my content, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's try to get 24 likes on today's video, and let's hop into it. The first player should be no surprise if you've been paying any attention to the bubble, and that's TJ Warren. He's been a very solid player all year, averaging 20 points, shooting 54% from the field, and 40% from three. I don't know what it is about the bubble. I don't know if he's more comfortable without fans or what, but this man has probably been the best player so far. In his debut, he went out there and dropped 53 points on the 76ers, shooting 20 for 29 from the field and 9 for 12 from three. So far in his 3 games in Orlando, he's averaged 40 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, shooting 65% from the field and 61% from three on almost 8 attempts a contest. Obviously, he's not going to be able to keep up 40 points a game from here on out, but so far, it has been fun to watch. His NBA journey is also pretty interesting. He was the 14th overall pick in 2014 to the Phoenix Suns. He got off to a pretty slow start, but by his 4th season, he was a 20-a-game scorer. After that year, he would sign a 4-year extension, but after the following season, they would trade Warren in one of the most confusing trades we've seen in recent history, even at the time, to the Indiana Pacers, along with the 32nd pick in the 2019 draft for cash considerations. If Warren can come close to what he's doing right now across the entirety of a season, man, oh man, am I going to feel bad for Suns fans. We had Oak Hill Melo, then we had Syracuse Melo, then Nuggets Melo, then Knicks Melo, then Olympic Melo, then Hoodie Melo, but now we've entered the era of NBA bubble Melo. It's crazy looking back at the conversation surrounding Carmelo Anthony when he was a free agent this past summer. Some people felt it had gotten to the point where Melo didn't really deserve a guaranteed spot in the league, but others felt it was completely ridiculous and disrespectful that at the start of the season, Melo had not gotten a contract. On the year, he's been decent, nothing crazy, but he's proven he still deserves ace. He's averaged 15 points as a 38% three-point shooter with a much stronger effort on the defensive end compared to previous seasons. But he grabbed everyone's attention at the start of the bubble when he dropped 21 points in his bubble debut in a big game against the Grizzlies as they're chasing them for that 8th seed in the Western Conference. He again stepped up in his last performance against the Rockets by hitting the game-sealing 3. Melo is such a fun player to watch on this team, and I really hope he can continue to thrive for the rest of this season. Next up, we've got Carmelo's teammate, Yosef Nurkic. The Blazers have really missed Nurkic, and I really thought he would help this team a lot in the bubble, but I've been shocked at just how good he's been coming off an injury like a broken leg. Statistically, he's been better than ever on his career. He's averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds, and a block a game, but in 3 bubble games, he's gone out there and averaged 22 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. Right now, a lot of Western Conference games feel like the playoffs with all the teams gunning for that 8th seed, and the Blazers are emerging as a serious threat with Bubble Melo, the return of both Zach Collins and Yosef Nurkic, especially with Memphis's Jaren Jackson Jr. going down with injury. But those aren't the only Blazers to get excited about. We actually have a 3rd member of the team cracking this list, and that's Gary Trent Jr. I really loved what I saw from Gary Trent coming out of high school as a top-ranked player on his way to Duke. But despite having a pretty good freshman season where he averaged 15 points a game as a 40% three-point shooter, he didn't get much attention for the draft, and Portland was able to get him with the 37th pick in the 2nd round of the 2018 draft. As a rookie, he really didn't have a role whatsoever, but with the loss of Rodney Hood, there were some free minutes this season, which allowed Gary Trent to get into the rotation, and he's been really everything you can ask for from a role player. He's been a far better on-ball defender than I think anyone expected, and has averaged 8 points, most of which coming from the perimeter, where he shot over 40% from 3. But so far in Orlando, it's looking like he could be much more than just a role player, as he's averaged 18 points, shooting 60% from 3. When you consider all the players the Blazers have that are stepping up and the players coming back from injury, as I said before, we've really got to watch out for this team in the next couple weeks. Then we've got Kristaps Porzingis, who's really solidified himself as Luka Doncic's running mate going into the future. I and many others thought that given his size, there was actually a pretty solid chance of regression coming off injury, but this season, he's really gotten right back to where he left off. On the year, he's averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds a game. But to start the bubble, he was on another level. He was one shy of his career high with 39 points and has averaged 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks in his 3 games so far. Since getting back from injury, he seemed to get better game by game, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I think this season is very unique in the fact that it looks like there's going to be some very exciting first round matchups. If the playoffs started today, the Dallas Mavericks would be going against the Los Angeles Clippers. While the Clippers would be heavily favored in that matchup, the Mavericks are not going to be an easy out. We've also got this race for the 8th seed, which is for a first round matchup against the Lakers. Things are getting exciting. Next up, we've got a guy that's been both loved and hated by many throughout his career, Gracie Allen. Throughout his collegiate career, he was one of the top players in the country. As a sophomore at Duke, he averaged 22 points as a 42% three-point shooter. 2 years later, he would go to the 2018 draft where the Utah Jazz drafted him with the 21st pick. As a rookie, Allen didn't have much of a role and ended up getting traded to the Memphis Grizzlies after the season in the Mike Conley trade. Again, he really didn't have too much of a role this season, but when he was out there, he was very solid. He averaged 8 points in 18 minutes, shooting 38% from 3, but since getting to Orlando, Allen has really flashed a lot of potential. He's been averaging over 14 points, shooting 67% from 3. Nothing crazy when it comes to his overall points a game, but he's really established himself as a member of this young core going into the future. Next up, we've got another guy that you already knew was going to be on here, and that's Michael Porter Jr. Him falling down to the 14th pick in the 2018 draft was uncalled for at the time, even considering the injury risk, and it's still uncalled for today. I was really high on Michael Porter going into this season and really felt he had a real shot at Rookie of the Year, and while he's been good, he just really hasn't had the volume of minutes to contend for that award. But things have changed. Michael Porter is on fire, and the Nuggets seem comfortable getting him more touches. To start the bubble, it didn't seem like we were going to see anything crazy, as he had just 11 points, but the following game, he would go out there and score his career high 37 points to go along with 12 rebounds, shooting 12 for 16 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. Then in the next game, he went out and dropped 30 points and 15 rebounds. He's officially arrived, and I fully expect Porter to contend for Most Improved a year from now, especially considering there's going to be a real role opening with the contracts of both Jeremy Grant and Paul Millsap coming to an end. Next up is a player that just seems to step up around this time of year recently, and that's San Antonio Spurs guard Derrick White. On the season, he's been pretty good for the Spurs, averaging 10 points and 4 assists, but since coming to Orlando, he's been on fire, averaging 21 points, shooting 45% from 3 on over 8 attempts a game. This Spurs team has a pretty interesting young core that doesn't get talked about too much. I really want to see what this team can do in a full rebuild. Between White, Lonnie Walker, DeJounte Murray, and Keldon Johnson, there's an okay amount to get excited about in San Antonio. You already knew I was going to have one of my guys, Devin Booker, on here. It's so funny to see all the criticisms just vanish when a player is doing well. I made a video a few months ago talking about how some young players like Devin Booker and Jaren Jackson Jr., who happens to be averaging 25 points in the bubble before his injury, are getting over criticized. We have no reason to believe Booker can't be a number 1 option. We have no reason to believe he can't be a winner. He's on the Phoenix Suns, a team that 100% has a case for the worst run organization since he came to the league. I'm telling you now, don't let this man get an above average supporting cast. Right now, the Suns are 3-0 in the bubble with big victories over both the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Clippers. They're led by Booker's 31 points a game as a 45% three-point shooter. We also saw him hit the game sealer against the Clippers. Just imagine if the Phoenix Suns held on to TJ Warren and we could see Bubble Booker and Bubble Warren on the court together. Lastly, we've got Fred VanVleet of the Raptors. VanVleet stepped up huge in the NBA Finals a year ago, and it looks like he's going to be stepping up for another playoff run. There's something about players like VanVleet that are just very interesting to me. He's a player that on his career isn't extremely efficient overall, but he is from the perimeter, but more importantly, he can create his own shot from there and catch fire at any point. I've really started to assign more value to guys like him, players that have that strong combination of both high volume three-point ability and ball handling. A lot of times now we see top teams struggle with consistency, relying on one or even two players to have their ball in their hands for a majority of the game. I'd be really interested to see VanVleet's effect if he was on the roster for some of these top teams that struggle with that, such as the Lakers, Dallas Mavericks, and Milwaukee Bucks. But getting back to what he's doing in the bubble, in 3 games, he's averaged 23 points and 6 assists on 53% from the field and 50% from 3. He also dropped his career high 36 points against the Miami Heat. While it's hard to envision this team really competing with the Western Conference champion, I'm very, very excited to see how they hold up in the Eastern Conference. But that's the end of the video, guys. You guys give me your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe. And the shoutouts are gonna be Bro, Jesse, Luke, Exclusive, Storm, and Freak. If you guys want to shout out in the next video, all you gotta do is like the video and comment liked or rep notification squad. And for all the guys that made it this far in the video, let's confuse everyone in the comments. I want to know who's gonna win a game of 21. Olympic Melo, Hoodie Melo, or Bubble Melo. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace.